So, hello, and another warm welcome in our next episode in our Lettings Launchpad series of PCS Pods. I'm Kate Forsdike, and I'm a director of PCS Legal. And today, once again, I'm joined by Philip Mallourides of Activate Your Success. We've previously recorded a podcast last year on helping landlords stay compliant. However, today we're going to talk about the upcoming changes with the Renters' Rights Act 2025, which is imminently coming into force on the 1st of May 2026. So we're going to look at how this is going to affect landlords. So welcome, Philip. Thank you for coming in today.
No, thank you very much for the invite back. Yeah. I must have said something right last time.
No, your information was really helpful. So
good.
So obviously this is a big change, what's coming into force. So the government has now released the guidelines to landlords, which is helpful. But what do you think the core issues that the Act is actually trying to fix?
Oh, how long have you got? It's a difficult one because the government are always saying that they want to raise standards within the residential lettings arena, and there's always backlash because they say, well, hang on a minute, social housing, they don't go by the same rules.
Yeah.
And most of the problems that are in the news that they report on, it's all to do with social housing.
Yes.
Like the damp problems and the lack of repair and those kind of things. Most landlords, decent landlords, they want their properties to be clean, good repair,
of course, yeah.
Because in the long run it costs them less money to run them. So I think the whole idea is about better properties. They do say it's about tenant security as well, because they're worried about tenants just being chucked out onto the streets and those kind of things. But I don't really think there's evidence to back that up, to be fair.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So how do you think then the termination of the Section 21 no-fault evictions will change the relationships between landlords and tenants?
Again, I mean, obviously that's come in with the Renters' Rights Act, and that one comes into force from the 1st of May. I just want to mention that you were saying that the Renters' Rights Act is coming in from the 1st of May.
Yeah.
The Royal Assent was back in October 2025, and actually we have been seeing changes since then, because part of that change was about the giving the councils more power, power to inspect, power to want documents, and all these kind of things, which actually came into effect from December. So there's lots of things that have been implemented since then. But the main change is phase one is coming in from the 1st of May. Yeah. And one of those things is the abolition of Section 21. So Section 21 is about non-fault evictions. In effect, just being able to evict someone just for the fun of it, really. And again, it's very difficult to get evidence on this. But I believe there's always a reason to evict someone.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You wouldn't do it for fun, would you?
No, I mean, many evictions, I've used Section 21 myself. And I think a lot of people use it because it's mandatory eviction.
Yeah.
Unless there's, unless the tenants kick up a lot of fuss and they want to take it to court and they want their own hearing and those kind of things. And they normally, bring in problems that they haven't brought up previously. But it's the quick way of evicting a tenant. I think there's a lot more paperwork that you have to get together in the first place for the landlord. But once you've got all those paperwork and you put it into the courts, then it's mandatory. You don't have to go to a hearing, and it's just done and dusted. And I think that's the reason why most people use Section 21.
Right, okay.
Not that they haven't got a reason that they want to evict someone.
Yeah.
I think that's a red herring with the whole 21 section. But how do you prove that? Because there's no statistics. It's just Section 21. There's no real, you don't have to give a reason or anything. So and actually, all the reasons that they're given, no one really looks at what they are and what the percentages of people that aren't paying rent and those kind of things. So we'll never know.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the top 5 changes that you think landlords and also agents must prepare for before the 1st of May?
Oh dear. So top 5?
Top 5.
I don't know whether we can do 5. I mean, from the 1st of May, I think the main issue at the moment up until the 31st of May is all around the information sheet that needs to go out to the tenants.
Yes.
A lot of confusion here because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of agents say, oh, we can't serve that until the 1st of May.
Oh, okay.
Which is a load of rubbish.
Yeah,
actually, right now, you can serve it whenever you want to serve it. And the other thing as well is if it's a joint tenancy, or there's more than one person on the tenancy, you have to individually serve each one. So you can't just send one to the household. Yeah. You've got to send one to everyone. So I guess that's the first one. The other thing is, I mean, Section 21 is being abolished. So I guess now landlords have to think, okay, what's my reasoning to evict someone? And again, Section 8 takes care of near enough all of them.
Yeah.
You can still evict someone because they haven't been paying the rent. You can evict someone because you want the property back, maybe because you want to live in it or you want to sell it, for example. There are caveats over that for length of tenancies, those kind of things. Probably the biggest one is the change from the AST to the APT. It is now, because it's now periodic and there's no fixed term tenancies anymore. I think that's going to be the biggest change. But the important thing is that whatever you have now, if you have tenants in place now, it just rolls into the periodic anyway. So there's nothing really to worry about. Yeah. And even if you get a new tenant, you're just using a different tenancy agreement. So all of that, for me, all of that remains the same. Yeah. What's that? That's 3. Fourth one.
I haven't been counted, actually.
Yeah. The fourth one is about rent increases.
Yes.
So now that is changing, but again, not really changing. Now you have to, use the correct forms. And this is where I actually got caught out myself this week, because there was a question of, okay, well, if we agree an increase in rent now, for example, we're still under the old system, being April. So we're under the old system. It's contractual. It's a fixed agreement. There's a contract in there. Every year we can up the rent by 3, 5, 10%. They've agreed a rate, but now it's going to we give them the 2 months notice, so it's going to come into effect April, May, June. What happens? And I thought it would be okay, but actually it's not. What happens now is that, well, all that, you can forget all that. From the 1st of May, even if you've agreed something beforehand, that doesn't count anymore. From the 1st of May, you have to do it properly by the new forms, and then those, well, they're not even new forms, they're existing forms, and you have to go through that process properly. And the 5th one, probably more about, we can encompass, you can't discriminate now against people with children, for example. You have to allow pets within reason. You can still deny them, because if you're living in a flat, for example, most leases don't want pets and don't allow pets. So obviously that gives you a get out clause, if you like, about allowing pets. So there's a few things that you can't discriminate against certain people, and you have to, there's no rent bidding wars and all these kind of things. So the rent that you advertise is the rent that you have accept. There's a few more, but I think we'll leave it at those few for the moment. Yes.
Right, so after the 1st of May, what should landlords and tenants expect over the coming year?
So I think, to be realistic, I don't think there's going to be much change really. Everything stays the same. So any existing tenancies that are in place, they are just going to stay the same, just become periodic. So in some ways it's better for the tenant because they can get out easier and quicker. Probably more so for the landlord, it becomes a little bit more of a headache because notice periods have been extended, and amount of time that someone's in rent arrears has been extended, and those kind of things. So I think from that aspect, things will change a little bit. But if you do want to evict someone, there's still the mechanism there with Section 8 that has always been there that people can apply. I think the main problem is going to be the court system, because that hasn't really caught up with the new procedures, and there's such a backlog that people are just going to have to wait a lot longer than they're used to, really.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you think this act is going to affect rental supplies and also the prices?
This is an interesting one. I think a lot of landlords, it's scared a lot of landlords off, and we have seen a lot of landlords exiting because they just don't want the hassle anymore. It's not necessarily the amount of paperwork that's changing, but it is the extra costs that are coming, and also the councils taking charge of what's happening within the lettings market, and the imposition of fines for landlords, which is scaring a lot of people off. So I think there are a lot of properties being sold, but then again, I think there's a lot of investors that are just buying them up, and a lot of the larger investors buying a lot more properties. So in terms of properties to let, I don't think that's going to be reduced that much.
Yeah.
In regards to pricing, again, it's always on an upward trajectory, although I think it has come down in recent years. But I don't think there's going to be a mad rush of. I mean, there will be people raising prices probably next year more so than this year.
Yeah.
Because obviously now we have to wait 12 months to do rent increases and those kind of things, and now the tenants have a new mechanism to challenge them, although they have introduced a £47 fee to, I don't know, dissuade them. I'm not quite sure, but that whole procedure is going to trip a few people up as well. But as they start to introduce, the new databases and the new ombudsman, which landlords have to pay for, and as selective licensing is introduced in a lot more places, I think those three things are going to push the prices up next year.
Yeah.
I think this year is going to be steady, but
Yeah,
I think as we see next year, it's going to rise.
Right, so what risks do landlords now face if they fail to comply with the new documentation and notice requirements?
So this is the controversial one.
Yeah.
It's now landlords have taken now the councils have taken control, and that's since last December. Mm-hmm. The government have just awarded councils a shed load of money. I think it was £61 million this week that's been introduced, which means that councils are now going to be on this. They need to raise more money, and they're going to be, using landlords as an easy target. And we can see that even with the new information sheet that needs to be given to each tenant by the 31st of May. If you don't, they have the power to fine you £7,000.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Now, what other industry has something like this? I mean, £7,000 for just not giving someone a piece of paper. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But this is why landlords are worried. There's fines for absolutely every single breach and they're not small fines. £7,000 is the starting point, and it just goes up.
Yeah.
And with councils now getting involved, they can come and inspect your property whenever they like. They can enter the property. They don't have to get warrants and all this kind of stuff. They can just go and visit. And what I've seen as well is that the tenants will say, "Oh, well, this hasn't been done. This hasn't been done," even if it's their fault. Even if the tenants have done the damage, they'll just tell the councils. The councils go back to the landlords and say, right, you've got to get this fixed in 14 days. And the landlord hasn't got a leg to stand on. They have to start the process of sorting these problems out. Otherwise, the council say, you get fined. And I think it's this kind of rhetoric that is getting a lot of landlords worried. And it does make you think, oh, do I really want to stay in this sector? Because even if I make just one mistake, we've got it at the moment with deposits, for example. If it's not protected within the first 30 days, then the tenant can get 3.5 times the annual rent back.
Yeah.
For a rent repayment order. I mean, it's preposterous. It is. That way it's gone into the tenant's favour. And, there's going to be a lot of ambulance chasers, well, there already are, in that sector that are just going to tenants and saying, oh, we can get you money.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a worry.
Of course, yeah. So what practical steps could landlords take now to prepare for full implementation of the Act?
Landlords just need to make sure they are compliant.
Yeah.
Really, in every shape and form. So at the moment, it's about getting the information sheet to their tenants. That's a must. If you haven't done it, do it. You have to email the form. Well, you have to give them the form. So you can email it to them, but don't email a link.
Yeah.
You can't email the link. It has to be like the PDF form that you attach to the email. Or you can send it in the post, for example, or you can give it to them by hand and those kind of things. That's probably the number one thing at the moment.
Yeah.
But then it's making sure that you have, your gas safety certificate, they're all up to date. The electrical certificate, the EICR, make sure that's up to date. A lot of people at the moment, because they were introduced in 2021, they're all becoming renewed now.
Yeah.
Because it's been 5 years later. So making sure that is done, making sure that if you have taken a deposit, that it was protected within 30 days and all the paperwork's been given to the tenants.
Yeah.
And just making sure, go and inspect your properties and make sure that the tenants are happy. If there are any repairs to be done, then get them sorted, get them done. It's just making sure that all the paperwork is in place, tenants are happy, you're happy with the rents and those kind of things. And if you are thinking of increasing the rent, then, start to think about, okay, what do I need to do? How do I do it? Because it's not the same as it was before.
No, of course. So are there any resources or support available to landlords to help them comply with the new Act?
I have to say, I've been looking at the government website, and there's a lot of information there. I'm quite surprised, actually. There is a lot of information there, but I think landlords should be registered with one of the many associations. I'm registered with the NRLA, and they have some really good resources there. They've got all the forms you need. They're all up to date. So they're good, but there's other ones out there.
Yeah.
And just look at other, training companies that are out there that it might be, okay, perhaps I'll go and get a refresher or something.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the agents.
Okay.
Because the agents, unfortunately, aren't all up to date. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. And I've heard of many stories that they just don't know what they're talking about, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So if you are with an agent, always try and back up yourself what they're saying, because it might be that they're giving out the wrong information.
Yeah, so you just need to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. And sort of lastly, have you got any other advice for landlords at all?
Stick with it.
Keep calm and carry on.
Keep calm and carry on. I think there is a lot of scaremongering out there.
Yeah.
With the new procedures. I mean, we haven't got it easy at the moment, because obviously, you know, we've got making tax digital coming into play for landlords, you know, with rents over 50,000, which kind of just puts another spanner in the works for landlords. But I think as long as you remain compliant, then you've got nothing to worry about. As long as you know, your property is looked after.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not a dump, and you don't have damp issues, and, you know, you get on with your tenants, and you do the right thing, you are a good landlord.
Yeah.
Then realistically, you don't have anything to worry about. Make sure you stay compliant, make sure you stay on the right side of the law. I mean, phase 2 is coming in later on this year, which is the introduction of the database and the new ombudsman. So just make sure, you know, that you register for those when the time is right. Unfortunately, we don't have any choice.
Yeah.
And we don't know how much that's going to cost.
No.
Which is one of the pressures on the rent increases for next year. There are a lot more selective licensing areas being implemented just all of the time.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you keep checking to see whether your area is becoming one, because no one tells you.
No.
They really don't tell you. And I don't know whether that might change with the new database. I mean, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think, oh, we've got a new database, so we're going to be starting selective licensing in this area, so we're going to let everyone know.
Yeah.
It would be nice to think that. I'm not convinced myself. That would be a nice to have.
Rely on it anyway.
I mean, the thing is, for me, I think it's one of those things that, well, hang on a minute, we've got the Renters' Rights Act, which is encompassing in itself. So you don't need selective licensing, because the two do exactly the same thing. They give the councils the same powers.
Yeah.
So it's just a cash cow, because you've got the selective licensing in a lot of areas, probably more to come. And then you've got the directory that you have to be involved in. Then you've got the ombudsman that you have to sign up to. And for me, well, a lot of landlords, it's just, well, hang on a minute, this is just a money-making exercise.
Yeah, of course.
And they're on the side of the tenants.
Yeah.
They don't listen to the landlord side of things. And a lot of tenants go to the councils if, for example, a landlord wants to evict someone.
Yeah.
As soon as they get the eviction notice, I'll go to the council because I'm going to tell them the landlord's not looking after the property and all those kind of things. And the landlord doesn't have a right to reply, really, unless they want to spend lots of money getting legal advice and getting help to fight. So I think all in all, you shouldn't worry too much, because a lot of things are the same. It's just a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
But as long as you're a good landlord and you've got everything in place, all the paperwork's up to date, then just keep calm and carry on, as we said.
Okay, well, I think what we'll do is we'll finish it there. So thank you so much for your help and advice
pleasure.
today. It's been really, really helpful, and no doubt I'll be calling you back probably towards the end of this year.
Yes, absolutely, for an update.